We've been lucky so far at all the places we've stayed, but I'd say this is one of the best so far. Since we left New York, I've only set up my hammock once, and now we're all the way in Utah, and luckily enough, I was able to set up my hammock in one of these trees.
Welcome to Crime Collapse. Today, we'll be talking about the shocking disappearance of Gabby Petito and what investigators later uncovered. So let's get into it. Gabrielle Venora Petito was born on March 19, 1999, and grew up in Blue Point, New York. She had a big family with several younger siblings. When she was still young, she and her stepbrothers joined a music video that spoke about gun violence in America. It was made after the Sandy Hook school shooting, and she took part to help raise awareness. She finished high school in 2017 at Bayport Blue Point High School, the same place where she first met Brian Laundrie. After graduation, she moved to Carolina Beach and stayed there for more than a year. She worked long hours in a restaurant, sometimes hosting and sometimes helping in the kitchen in nearby Wilmington. She once applied to a local college, but she didn't go in the end. Gabby started dating Brian in March 2019. Later, she moved into his family home in Northport, Florida. Both of them found jobs at a public store. She worked as a pharmacy technician while he worked in the grocery section. When the COVID-19 pandemic began, they both left their jobs. Toward the end of 2019 and early 2020, they began a long road trip from New York to California. They visited places like Las Vegas, Yosemite National Park, and Pismo Beach. After that, Gabby celebrated her 21st birthday in Florida. In June 2020, they visited Soap Creek in Georgia, and 1 month later, they got engaged. In December 2020, Gabby bought a small 2012 Ford Transit Connect van that had been changed into a camper. This would be the vehicle for their next long trip. To save as much money as possible, she worked around 50 hours a week at Taco Bell and also worked as a nutritionist. Brian took a job at an organic juice bar. Gabby shared many moments from her life on social media, especially on YouTube and Instagram. She often talked about her love for art, yoga, and healthy food. In June 2021, Gabby and Brian returned to Blue Point before her brother was graduating. The day felt important to her, and they spent time with her family before leaving again. After the ceremony, they began preparing for their next big trip in the van. On July 2, 2021, they left Blue Point in the Ford Transit Connect. The van held their supplies, and the two of them set out for the long trip. As the trip moved into the next weeks, they drove across several states and visited many well-known places. They went to Monument Rocks first, where the Tall Rocks Formation rose out of open land. From there, they continued toward Great Sand Dunes National Park and Preserve, where the white sand dunes stretch toward the mountains, and then Bryce Canyon National Park, known for its rows of tall, narrow rock shapes. They also stopped at Mystic Hot Springs, a place with warm, natural water, before traveling on to Canyonlands National Park. Each location was part of their planned route, and they kept moving from one destination to the next as their road trip continued. On August 12, 2021, things changed during Gabby and Brian's trip. That afternoon, a witness in Moab, Utah called 911 after seeing a couple arguing outside the Moonflower Community Cooperative. The caller told the dispatcher that they saw a man slap a woman. After that, the pair ran up and down the sidewalk, still in conflict, and the caller said the man struck her again before they left in their van. Another person later told police that the couple looked like they were speaking in a sharp and tense way. The witness said they saw Gabby hitting Brian's arm, and it seemed like Brian wanted to walk away from her while holding her phone. The witness also heard her and asked him, "Why do you have to be so mean?" Shortly after that, officers from the Moab City Police Department saw the van. The van was moving in an unstable way, so they performed a traffic stop. When they approached, they found Gabby in the passenger seat crying.
Guys' names?
Gabby.
Gabby, Brian. Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm just sorry. We've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues. My job is to travel across the country, and I'm trying to start a blog. I just have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed.
Tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes.
Can you tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had a cell phone in her hand, that's why I was pushing her away.
I just saw the lights come on, and it was more just like, you're an idiot.
I'm not gonna pursue anything. I just talk out and say I love her.
When you slapped him those times, Were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do to him?
No.
What were you?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me something.
You're 22, right? So I'm choosing not to cite you today.
Gabby told the officers that she had hit Brian first and begged them not to separate them. One officer wrote in his report that throughout his time with her, she cried continuously and struggled to speak without wiping her tears. He wrote that Brian tried to step away from her to calm the situation. He wrote that Brian then grabbed her face and pushed her back as she pressed against him and the van. Neither of them wanted to press charges. The officers decided that the situation looked more like an emotional breakdown than a domestic violence case. Because of that, they did not make an arrest. They separated them for the night so things could cool down. Brian was taken to the Bowen Motel in Moab, and Gabby stayed with the van. Later, the Moab Police Department reviewed whether their officers handled the situation the right way. During that review, the chief of police stepped away from his position for a period of time while the investigation took place. In mid-August 2021, things shifted again during the trip. On August 17, Brian flew from Salt Lake City back to Tampa, Florida, and Gabby stayed behind. During those days, she stayed at the Fairfield Inn and Suites near the Salt Lake City airport. Staff later said she checked out on August 24th. Brian's family attorney later explained that he flew home to pick up some belongings and closed a storage unit to save money because the couple had been thinking about making the road trip longer. He returned to Utah on August 23rd and met up with Gabby so they could continue traveling. Gabby's mother said her last phone conversation with her daughter happened on August 25th. Gabby told her that she and Brian were moving from Utah toward Grand Teton and Yellowstone. That same day, a final Instagram post appeared on Gabby's account. The photos showed her standing in front of a butterfly mural outside a restaurant in Ogden, Utah. 2 days later, on August 27, between early afternoon hours, a witness said she saw the couple inside Mary Piglet's. According to the witness, Brian got into a heated argument with the manager, waitress, and hostess, and the issue seemed connected to the money. She said she later saw Gabby return to the restaurant alone, upset and apologizing for his behavior. Shortly after leaving the restaurant, Gabby and Brian were seen on CCTV at the Whole Foods in Jackson. The footage showed their van entering the parking lot at 2:11 p.m. They walked inside at 2:14 p.m. They stayed around 16 minutes and left at 2:30 p.m. They sat in the van for about 20 minutes before driving out of the lot. At 2:56 p.m., they headed toward Highway 89, the road that leads north to the Bridger-Teton National Forest campground. This was the last recorded video of Gabby alive. Later that day, a text was sent from Gabby's phone to her mother asking, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Her mother immediately felt something was wrong because Stan was Gabby's grandfather, and Gabby never addressed him by his first name. After this point, no one reported seeing Gabby again. Several people came forward with information about the days that followed. Witnesses said that Brian was seen alone near the Spread Creek dispersed camping area, close to where Gabby's body was later found. One person said they had seen the couple's van earlier in the area on August 26th, driven by a young white man who was moving slowly and acting in an unusual way. A YouTube couple also had dashcam footage from August 27th, showing a van that matched Gabby and Brian's van near the same area. They said they saw it around 6 p.m. and again when they passed by later that night. Another woman posted on TikTok saying she and her boyfriend picked up Brian while he was hitchhiking on August 29th near Coulter Bay Village. She said he was traveling alone and offered $200 for a short ride. After less than half an hour, he asked to get out near the Jackson Lake Dam. She remembered thinking it was strange that he offered so much money and did not look dirty, even though he said he had been camping for several days. A different woman said she also picked him up later that same evening, around 6:20 or 6:30 p.m. She said he asked to be dropped off at the entrance to the Spread Creek camping area. She explained that he offered gas money for the ride, but did not want her to drive with him all the way to the van. She said he acted tense as they got closer to the entrance. Brian's parents later said that on August 29th he called his mother, and as the call wrapped up, his voice suddenly changed. His father called him afterward, and Brian told him Gabby's gone and said he might need a lawyer. He did not give them any other details. Another text was sent from Gabby's phone to her mother. It said no service in Yosemite. her mother believes this text did not come from Gabby. Around this time, messages were also exchanged between Brian's phone and Gabby's, and a $700 transaction was sent from Gabby's account to Brian, with a message that read goodbye. Investigators later believe these actions were done by Brian to cover his tracks. On September 1st, Brian drove the van back to Northport, Florida, arriving alone. On September 6th and 7th, he went camping with his parents at Fort DeSoto Park in Pinellas County. By early September 2021, everything had already gone silent between Gabby and her family. She had not contacted her mother since the end of August, and on September 11th, her mother finally filed a missing person report. 4 days later, Brian was officially named a person of interest. His parents hired a lawyer immediately and followed his advice not to speak to anyone about the case. Police kept watch on the laundry home in Florida. On September 13th, officers saw Brian leave the house. 2 days later, they saw the family's car return, and they believed the person getting out was Brian. The next day, Northport's police chief told reporters that they knew where Brian was. But on September 17th, Brian's parents reported him missing, saying they had not seen him since September 13th. That was when police realized the mistake. On September 15th, they had actually seen Brian's mother return in the car, not Brian himself. Soon after getting court approval, investigators searched the laundry home and took to Ford Transit Connect a hard drive and the family's Ford Mustang. On September 19th, search teams in Wyoming found human remains at the Spread Creek dispersed camping area, close to where the couple's van had been spotted before. The remains matched Gabby's description. After confirming her identity, the autopsies showed that she died from blunt force injuries to her head and neck, along with manual strangulation. The medical examiner estimated that she had been killed 3 to 4 weeks before she was found. On September 23rd, a federal court in Wyoming issued an arrest warrant for Brian, not for murder, but for using Gabby's debit card without permission to withdraw over $1,000 between August 13th and September 1st. Investigators also collected material from his home to compare DNA. On October 5th, Brian's sister appeared in an interview and urged her brother to turn himself in.
Like having someone come forward and tell the truth. I don't know if my parents are involved. I think if they are, then they should come clean.
2 days later, his father joined law enforcement at the T. Mabry Clarkton Reserve in Florida. They searched the areas Brian often visited, including nearby Mahiakachi Creek Environmental Park. Then, on October 20th, investigators found human remains and several of Brian's personal items in the Mahiakachi Creek area. Part of the area had recently been underwater because of flooding. The remains were identified through dental records. His cause of death could not be confirmed through a regular autopsy, so the remains were sent to a forensic anthropologist. On November 23rd, the report came back. Brian died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Months later, on January 21st, 2020, the FBI released new information. They announced that Brian's notebook, which was found near his remains, contained a written confession. In the notebook, he admitted killing Gabby and pretending she was still alive by sending text messages from her phone. With this evidence, the FBI officially closed the case and confirmed Brian was responsible for her death. In June 2022, the Laundrie family's lawyer released the full notebook entry. In the writing, Brian claimed that Gabby had fallen into water and gotten badly hurt, and he said he believed ending her life was merciful. He also wrote about his plan to take his own life, saying he could not continue living without her. But experts later stated that his story did not match the findings from the autopsy. A criminal justice specialist, Michael Alcazar, said Brian's notes sounded like someone trying to accuse his actions, rather than telling the truth. As the investigation continued, the case drew huge attention from people everywhere. Reporters gathered outside the Laundrie family home in Florida, cameras lined along the street, and news channels covered the story non-stop. Many people wonder why this case received so much attention compared to the others. A lot of things made the public follow it so closely. Brian Laundrie and his parents refused to speak about where Gabby Petito was, which made many people suspicious. There was also a large amount of social media content from the couple's road trip, so people felt like they had watched their journey from the start. Many witnesses also posted videos online, giving the internet even more clues to analyze. People described the case as a young couple's trip turning into something tragic, and many were already interested in van life stories during the pandemic. People online shared what they saw, gave theories, and discussed the timeline. Protesters stood outside the Laundrie home asking for answers. In Gabby's hometown, a candlelight vigil was held for her. Donations came in for the Gabby Petito Foundation, which her parents created to help search for other missing people. During the search for Gabby and Brian, authorities even uncovered 5 other missing person bodies, showing how large the search efforts had become. After Gabby Petito's death, her family began taking legal action. Gabby's parents then filed another lawsuit, this time against Brian's parents and their lawyer, Steve Bortolino. They said that Brian's family caused them emotional pain by keeping information about Gabby's death to themselves while the search was still happening. After going through mediation, the two sides reached a settlement on February 21, 2024. The details of that agreement were not made to public. In the same period, Gabby's parents also filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit against the Moab Police Department. In 2023, they added new claims, saying that one of the officers, Eric Pratt, knew Brian could be dangerous but ignored the law, and that the department failed to follow its own rules meant to assess danger in domestic violence cases. On November 20th, 2024, the judge dismissed the case. Her parents did not stop there. They appealed the ruling to the Utah Supreme Court. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching Crime Collapse. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this one. I'll see you in the next one.